Welcome back to another episode of Illuminating Information, the podcast where we shine a light on the cutting-edge ideas shaping the way we work and innovate. Today, we're diving into a recently trending topic, tokenmaxxing. As companies experiment with larger context windows and more advanced AI systems, an important question emerges. Does more context actually always lead to better results? Joining me today is Malena Kronberger, Product Owner Services and API at Mindbreeze. Together, we'll explore what tokenmaxxing means, how it affects enterprise AI, and how organizations can focus on the right context instead of simply using more context. With that, let's get started. Hi, Malena. Thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate having you.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm very happy to be here.
Just to get started, can you tell us a little bit about your role at Mindbreeze?
So I'm a product owner for services and API at Mindbreeze. In my role, I'm responsible for understanding both the technical possibilities and the real-world needs of our customers and translating those insights into product decisions. Especially with AI evolving so rapidly, I'm focused on how we can build solutions that are not only innovative, but also practical, scalable, and useful in real enterprise environments.
Awesome. Then this will be the perfect topic for you, tokenmaxxing. To give a bit of context to those who may not know, can you briefly explain what tokens are and why they matter when working with large language models?
Sure. So when we talk about tokens, we're basically talking about the building bricks of information that a large language model can process. AI models do not read text in the same way humans do, word by word. Instead, they break it down into smaller units called tokens. A token can be a whole word, part of a word, punctuation, or other pieces of text. It always depends on the language and the model itself. Everything an LLM works with is measured in tokens. The instruction we give it through prompts, the documents we provide as context, the previous messages in a conversation is also an example, and even the answers it generates can be a token. So every interaction with an AI model involves processing tokens. This matters because tokens directly influence three important things: cost, speed, and context limits. So to sum it up, tokens are essentially the working material of an LLM. Understanding how we use them helps us build AI solutions that are not only powerful, but also efficient and scalable.
Mm-hmm. And what does tokenmaxxing mean in the context of enterprise AI?
So tokenmaxxing is a term that describes the idea that more tokens automatically lead to better AI results. In other words, the assumption is if we give the model more context, more documents, longer prompts, or simply said, more information, it will become more intelligent and produce better answers. In enterprise AI, this can happen quite easily. Organizations often have access to huge amounts of information, so the first instinct might be to provide the AI model with everything available: entire documents, extensive chat histories, or a very large number of search results. There is some logic behind this approach. AI systems do need context to provide meaningful answers. The challenge is that more context does not always mean better context. If the model receives too much irrelevant or noisy information, it can make it harder for the AI model to identify what is actually important. So when we're discussing tokenmaxxing, the goal should really be not to maximize the amount of information we send to an AI model, but to maximize the quality and relevance of the information it receives.
Yeah, that completely makes sense. And to go a little bit more into the technical perspective behind that belief, how does tokenmaxxing affect the performance, latency, and cost of using an LLM?
So, as briefly mentioned before, tokenmaxxing has an impact in three main areas: performance, latency, and cost. So, first off, performance and latency. The more tokens a model has to process, the more computational work is required. If we send a very large prompt or a lot of additional context, the model needs more time to analyze that information before it can generate the response. This can directly affect the user experience, especially in enterprise applications where fast responses are important. Then there is the second dimension, the cost. Most AI models are priced based on the number of tokens processed. So if we continuously increase the amount of context we send to a model, we also increase the operational costs. This becomes especially relevant in enterprise scenarios where thousands of millions of AI interactions might happen. And then there is also the aspect of quality that we didn't mention in the beginning. It might seem logical to provide more information to an AI model to improve answer quality, but that is not necessarily true. When there is too much context, the relevant information can get buried among less important details. The model then has to spend more effort identifying what matters, which can sometimes reduce precision or lead to less focused answers. So technically, the challenge is not simply handling more tokens, it is about using tokens efficiently and making sure that the model receives the right information at the right time.
With that in mind, how should organizations think about the difference between a large context window and a strong retrieval strategy?
So I think it is important to distinguish between having a large context window and having a strong retrieval strategy because they serve different purposes. A large context window is essentially about capacity. It tells us how much information a model can technically process at once. That is a valuable capability, especially when working with complex topics or longer documents. But capacity alone does not tell us whether the information provided is useful. The more important question is, which information should the model actually see to answer a specific question? This is where a strong retrieval strategy becomes essential. With approaches like Retrieval Augmented Generation or RAG, we introduce an additional step to guide the model to only use relevant information for generating an answer. Instead of sending everything we have, we first identify the most relevant information from available sources and provide only that context to the model. In an enterprise environment, this is especially important because information is constantly changing and not all information is equally relevant or even accessible to every user. A good retrieval strategy helps ensure that the AI receives information that is relevant, up-to-date, and within the correct permissions. So I would say a strong context window gives us more space to work with, but a strong retrieval strategy helps us utilize that space as best and intelligently as possible. The combination of both is what enables reliable enterprise AI.
That makes so much sense. And I think that you did a great job at having them work together rather than being completely separate topics when it comes to Tokenmaxxing. To get into a little bit about the specifics of Mindbreeze, how does Mindbreeze specifically help organizations provide AI systems with the right context instead of simply more context?
With Mindbreeze Inspire, Mindbreeze helps organizations solve the context challenge by focusing on relevance rather than volume and therefore reduces costly tokenmaxxing. Instead of sending large amounts of information to an LLM and hoping the right details are found, Mindbreeze Inspire retrieves the most relevant and trustworthy information first and provides it as focused context for the AI system. This reduces unnecessary token usage, improves efficiency, and helps organizations build AI solutions that can scale in predictable ways.
Mm-hmm. And how can organizations reduce unnecessary token usage without reducing the answer quality?
So, the most important mindset shift is that organizations should optimize the information flow to the AI model rather than simply increasing the amount of information they provide. A good starting point is improving retrieval before increasing prompt size. Instead of adding more and more content to the prompt, organizations should focus on finding the most relevant information first. This can be achieved through techniques like metadata filtering, ranking, and understanding the context of the user's request. For example, rather than sending an entire 200-page document to an AI model, it is often much more effective to identify the specific sections or passages that answer the question and provide only those. This reduces unnecessary tokens while making it easier for the model to focus on the important information. Another important aspect is continuous monitoring token usage, quality, and latency. How many tokens are being used? Are their answers accurate and useful? How quickly does the system respond? These metrics help identify whether the AI solution is actually improving over time.
Mm-hmm. And that might seem like a very daunting task, but for Mindbreeze customers, the technical consultants can help with the use of metadata filtering and ranking. So they have a leg up in making sure that token usage is being used in the most efficient way to get high quality answers. I just wanted to point that out. And then to wrap up our conversation, what is the main takeaway you want listeners to remember about Tokenmaxxing and enterprise AI?
The main takeaway is rather simple in my opinion. More context does not automatically mean better AI. The future of enterprise AI is not about maximizing the amount of information we send to a model, it is about maximizing the relevance and quality of that information. By reducing unnecessary token usage and improving context selection, organizations can build AI systems that are more cost efficient, more predictable, and ultimately more trustworthy. The goal is not more context, the goal is the right context.
Yes, I completely agree. And thank you so much for saying it in such a nice, succinct way for everybody. And I just want to thank you again for coming on and telling us about Tokenmaxxing.
No problem. Thanks for having me, Brittany.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Illuminating Information. Today we explored Tokenmaxxing and why context quality matters more than context quantity when it comes to enterprise AI. Be sure to subscribe to Illuminating Information on your favorite podcast platform. If you have a question, a topic you would like us to cover, or know someone who would make a great guest on this podcast, reach out to us on our website and let us know. Stay innovative, stay informed, and as always, keep illuminating information.